Hare Krishna, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. We continue reading from Caitaniya Caritamita, Adi Leela, chapter 10, text 86. Malira Ichaya Shaka Bahuta Badila Badia Paschima Desha Saba Acha Dila. By the will of the Supreme Gardener, the branches of Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami grew many times over, expanding throughout the Western countries and covering the entire region. So they're great preachers, no? Rupa and Sanatan Goswami means they're really preaching so much and they are bringing so many people to Krishna consciousness, giving so many people Krishna consciousness. Sindhu Nadi Tira Ara Himalaya Vrindavan Mathuradi Yatra Tirtha Haya. Extending to the borders of the river Sindhu and the Himalayan mountain valleys, these two branches expanded throughout India, including all the places of pilgrimage such as Vrindavan, Mathura, and Haridwar. Duishakara prema fale sakala bhasila, prema phala swade loka unmata haila. The fruits of love of Godhead, which fructified on these two branches, were distributed in abundance. Tasting these fruits, everyone became mad after them. So they're giving Krishna Prem to everyone, fruit of love of Godhead, Krishna Prem. Paschimera Lokasabha Muda Anachar, Taha Pracharila Donhe Bhakti Sadachar. The people in general on the western side of India were neither intelligent nor well behaved. But by the influence of Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, they were trained in devotional service and good behavior. Although it is not only in Western India that people were contaminated by association with Muslims, it is a fact that the farther west one goes in India, the more he will find the people to be fallen from the Vedic culture. Until 5,000 years ago, when the entire planet was under the control of Maharaj Parikshit, the Vedic culture was current everywhere. Gradually, however, people were influenced by non-Vedic culture and they lost sight of how to behave in connection with devotional service. So before, the entire earth would be ruled by a saintly king. Up until the time of Maharaj Parikshit, he was the emperor of the entire earth, not only of India, but all was united. It was all under the the leadership of one king. So before Parikshit Maharaj was Yudhishthir Maharaj. Even when the Kurus were ruling, it was one king ruling the entire earth. But then gradually, as the age of Kali came in, then gradually the Vedic culture was lost. Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami very kindly preached the bhakti cult in Western India, and following in their footsteps, the propagators of the Chaitanya cult in the Western countries are spreading the Sankirtana movement and inculcating the principles of Vaishnava behavior, thus purifying and reforming many persons who were previously accustomed to the culture of Malechas and Yavanas. So just as Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, they, they preached the bhakti cult in Western India. Srila Prabhupada, he preached the bhakti cult in the Western countries, where people had completely forgotten how to engage in devotional service. He again revived back, Srila Prabhupada, he revived back this culture of bhakti. All our devotees in Western countries give up their old habits of illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating, and gambling. Of course, 500 years ago, these practices were unknown in India, at least in Eastern India. But unfortunately, present all of India has been victimized by these non-Vedic principles, which are sometimes even supported by the government. So in the time of Lord Chaitanya did not have to stress that follow the four regulative principles and chant Hare Krishna. Why? He just said chant Hare Krishna. Why? Because everyone, at least in India, was automatically following these four regulative principles, at least in Eastern India, the four regulative principles. But now, as Kali Yuga has been progressing, we see most of the world, we don't follow these regulative principles. And that's the reason it is uh, being reinforced that follow the regulative principles and chant Hare Krishna. Otherwise, it was taken for granted that everyone is following these four regulative principles. Shastra Drishte Kaila Lupta Tirthera Uddha Vrindavane Kaila Shri Murti Sevara Prachar. In accordance with the directions of the revealed scriptures, both Goswamis excavated the lost places of pilgrimage and inaugurated the worship of deities in Vrindavan. The spot where we now find Sri Radhakund was an agricultural field during the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So now if we go to Vrindavan, we'll see that the temples are beautifully made. Radhakund, Shamkund is so beautifully made. But 500 years ago, it was completely lost. Radhakund, Shamkund were almost lost. It was just like a rice field, like a field over there. A small reservoir of water was there, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bathed in that water and pointed out that originally Radhakund existed in that location. So it's when Lord Chaitanya, when he went to Vrindavan, that's when he said that this water, it was in the middle of a field. It was like a tiny, tiny pool of water. He said, this is Radhakund. And following his directions, Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami renovated Radhakund. This is one of the brilliant examples of how the Goswamis excavated lost places of pilgrimage. Similarly, it is through the endeavor of the Goswamis that all the important temples in Vrindavan were established. So 500 years ago, most of the pastime places of Lord Krishna were covered. So Lord Chaitanya gave this important work to the Goswamis. He told them, specifically Rup Sanatan Goswami, to excavate these sites, to build these sites so people can visit these pastime places of Lord Krishna. Similarly, it is through the endeavor of the Goswamis that all the important temples in Vrindavan were established. Originally, there were 7 important Gaudiya Vaishnava temples established in Vrindavan. So the Gaudiya Vaishnava temples in Vrindavan, Madan Mohan Temple, Govinda Temple, Gopinath Temple, Sri Radha Raman Temple, Radha Shyam Sundar Temple, Radha Damodar Temple, and Gokulananda Temple. They were established by the 6 Goswamis. The Madan Mohan Temple was established by Sanatan Goswami. Govindaji is established by Rupa Goswami. Gopinath by Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. Radha Raman Temple by Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Radha Shyam Sundar is by Shyamananda Prabhu. Radha Damodar Temple by Jiva Goswami, and Gokulananda Temple by Lokanath Goswami. These temples are very much there in Vrindavan, and if we get the good fortune to visit Vrindavan, we can visit these temples of the Goswamis. Any questions or comments? Okay. So let's stop here for today. Thank you so much for listening and joining in. Caitaniya Caritamita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.